my mother and father, came to Tuskegee as a result of the Tuskegee Airmen program.
Okay.
My father was a cadet. My mother was a secretary at Moulton Field, and they hooked up. And my father washed out. He never became a Tuskegee Airman. He washed out of the program as a lot of cadets did, and all those cadets that came there pretty much settled in Tuskegee.
Mm-hmm.
And these were people who were in a program to prove that they could fly airplanes. So they had this can-do spirit, that they could do things, that they could succeed against the odds.
In the 8 years before Bush-Cheney, 22 million jobs were created and federal deficits were eliminated. But in the last 2 years, the Bush administration has cost Illinois alone 204,000 jobs and turned record surpluses into record deficits. We've watched our leaders offer obscene tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans at the expense of working families and the poor. Millions of Americans have lost their jobs, their health care, and their hope in the future. We need a change in direction in Washington, and that battle begins today right here in Peoria.
Anybody who claims that voting rights for minority Americans are now secure only has to look to Florida in 2000 and Ohio in 2004. A recent report said 28% of all Ohio voters, 52% of black voters said they experienced problems in voting, and the dismal 19% of black voters expressed a lack of confidence that their votes were properly counted. And right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a cowardly and non-existent group calling itself the Milwaukee Black Voters League distributed a leaflet just before last fall's election. It told black citizens they couldn't vote for president if they'd already voted in an election that year, that a traffic violation made them ineligible to vote, that conviction for anything by anyone in the voter's family made the voter ineligible, and that violating any of these restrictions would result in a prison term and the seizure of their children.
Abraham Lincoln said at Gettysburg in 1863, in 272 words, the essence of American democracy, that it's government of the people and by the people and for the people. It shall not perish from this earth. And I think that this battle, this electric rate crisis that we're now involved in, it's an epic struggle between we the people and these powerful, selfish utility companies that think they think they can run the show here in the land of Lincoln. And our job is to work night and day on the best traditions of American democracy to make sure that we the people win. We're going to win a rollback on those utility rates. We're going to end this reverse auction. We're going to make sure the people win.
And you wonder what's wrong with your children. You. And I tell you, as a father of 10 children and a father of 10, 11 grandchildren, I don't need to read no book to find out about this thing. My mother and father had blonde hair and blue eyes, and I showed up tonight looking like this. Y'all need to ask some serious questions because I'm a reflection of my parents. And whatever these youngsters is doing that you don't like, they're a reflection of you. Huh? You can talk about Bush like he's a dog. He's a homegrown American boy. He didn't come down here from another planet. And what you see in him you don't like, that's America. Amen. You black folk want to walk around and act like everything was okay, then one day it got bad. It ain't never been okay. That's just your cheap cop-out. I'm so happy to be here because I was telling the brother I very seldom talk to black folks. No, 98% of my audience is white folks because there's something changing in this country And you black folks done messed up ordinary white folks because you mad at the wrong white folks. The white folks you mad at couldn't help you if they liked you. The white folks that creates the problems is not some little redneck hillbilly. It's the president of Harvard and Yale and AT&T and General Electric. But you ain't going to mess with them because they will kill you.
Last Friday, Senator Obama called me and asked, well, first of all, he said he wanted to reach out to me, which I thought was a pretty extraordinary way for our new senator to have an opportunity for the two of us to meet. And he said he was going to be in Peoria today, and so I invited him to come to our office. I know he has a number of other things, including a town meeting that he's going to be involved with, but I actually met Senator Obama when he and I were both in Washington at a meeting, and obviously he ran a very, very good campaign. The thing that I want to say, and then Senator Obama obviously can speak for himself, is that, and he knows this, our delegation, when the election is over, has always worked together. And we have done a lot of good for Illinois. And to have somebody like Senator Obama begin his tenure as our new U.S. Senator by reaching out to some of us in downstate Illinois and offer to be helpful, I think is extraordinary. And I think it speaks well of what he wants to do for the state and, more importantly, for the citizens of our great state. And I look forward to working with him. I've had a great relationship with all the members of our delegation. And the reason we've been successful in Central Illinois and in the 20 counties that I represent is because our delegation does work together. When the election is over, what people want is for us to set the politics at the door and to work together on behalf of the people and to solve problems.
I did want to reach out to Congressman LaHood immediately for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's got a reputation as being one of the most thoughtful and effective legislators that we have here in Illinois. Number two, I think he represents the tradition of Bob Michael and others who have, in fact, put aside partisan differences when it comes to solving problems on behalf of the citizens of Illinois. And so I wanted to contact him immediately to get some suggestions from him in terms of how I can be effective as part of the Illinois delegation. And one of the pleasures of this campaign is the number of times that I've been able to come to Peoria and the surrounding counties and areas to learn more about the issues that confront citizens here. What a great turnout. And I feel bad making this much noise in a library. I used to get kicked out of libraries all the time. Chewing gum.
Practical suggestions that you might be able to get a bipartisan movement in Illinois. One would be mandating biodiesel in all public transportation like buses and stuff. And if there's a cost that needs to be offset, it can come out of farm subsidies because biodiesel would directly help soybean farmers. And the second thing is, I see that my wife travels a lot and we fly out of Peoria Airport. We like that, but it seems to me that we need high-speed rails to link Peoria Airport to O'Hare, and they can travel down the interstates, so there'll be right-of-ways. And it looks like the problem with transportation on rail is the government owns the trains and the private companies own the tracks. And the government's own the tracks and lease the trains to like the airline carriers. And then if you link from those regional airports downtown Peoria and then from O'Hare to downtown Chicago, you can make it so more people can move out to little towns like I'm from Elmwood, and still be able to get downtown Chicago to do a job and things like that. And we get growth in the areas where the school populations are.
Well, I think that's an excellent suggestion, and I've been a big fan of high-speed rail, particularly with what's happening in terms of fuel costs. The airlines are getting hammered. At some point, they're going to have to raise ticket prices, which is going to further isolate the ability for people to travel effectively. And given the security issues that we go through today, if we had high-speed rail, it'd be faster to take the train than fly to Milwaukee from Chicago or to Detroit or some St. Louis, some of the other areas even outside of the state. So I'm a big fan of it.